All right, so today we're looking at this situation with North and South Korea.
Yeah. As if
And
you know.
you sent over some articles, and I gotta say, this is some wild
It
stuff.
is wild.
Road demolitions, drones.
It feels very much like,
It's giving very Cold War 2.0
a
vibes.
Cold War 2.0. Yeah. And I think what's interesting is, we see these headlines about these big threats, and it's easy to get caught up in that.
Right.
But some of the details that are maybe less obvious, like you mentioned road demolitions,
Yeah.
those actually tell us a lot, I think, about what Kim Jong Un's real strategy is here.
Because, I mean, on the surface, it's just roads. Like, why is blowing up some pavement that big of a deal?
Right, and that's exactly why it's so interesting. This is not just about infrastructure.
Okay.
This is the very deliberate, very public message that Kim Jong Un is sending.
Hmm.
So during the period where North and South Korea were trying to cooperate, right, they built these roads. Destroying them is literally saying, like, that is over.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. But I think it's even deeper than that, right? Because if you think about what roads represent,
Connection,
communication, the potential for trade and movement,
yeah.
he's severing those ties in a very symbolic way.
Yeah.
And further isolating North Korea.
And this wasn't like a spur-of-the-moment decision like, I woke up, I'm angry, I'm blowing up a road, they've been laying mines, they've been taking out the lights. This has been a slow burn.
Totally. And I think that's what worries a lot of experts, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like a fit of anger. This seems very calculated, like a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
And I think it really points to this idea that Kim Jong Un is moving away from unification.
Yeah.
Which is something that, at least outwardly, his father, his grandfather,
They were all about it.
they, paid lip service to.
Yeah.
This is a huge deal for anyone who thought there might be a path toward a unified Korean peninsula one day.
Especially because he made it like a law this year.
He did.
Like he changed their constitution, South Korea's the enemy, formally.
Yeah, you've been doing your homework. You're exactly right. In January, he pushed through this constitutional amendment, formally labeling South Korea as an enemy.
Wow.
Signaling very clearly that he wants to deal directly with the U.S.
Cut out the middleman.
Cut out the middleman, try to get a better, be in the driver's seat, basically. And that has a lot of people worried, not just in the region, but globally.
And it's not helping that, like, on top of that, there's this whole drone situation.
Right.
Where North Korea is saying, oh, South Korea's flying drones over us. I mean, honestly, it sounds like a spy movie.
Yeah, total spy movie. And it's like, we don't know if these specific accusations are true or not.
Right.
But this is classic North Korea. This is what they do.
Yeah.
They are masters of propaganda. Rallying their people against this external threat,
Right.
playing the victim,
Yeah.
while at the same time justifying any aggressive actions they might take in response.
It's a very convenient, it's a very convenient.
It's a very convenient excuse. And what's so interesting here is that South Korea admitted to sending surveillance drones into North Korea in 2022.
Oh, really?
So they admitted to it.
Wow.
It's very possible. I mean, we don't know who launched the drones this time, right?
Right.
But it's murkier than it looks on the surface.
It's never as simple as it seems.
Never as simple as it seems.
Especially with international relations. So you've got this situation, right? It's a powder keg. You've got the accusations going back and forth. And then you add on top of that, North Korea has, nuclear weapons.
Right.
So it's not an empty threat.
Exactly.
So what are South Korea and the U.S. doing? I mean, they must be freaking out a little bit.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But their options are kind of limited.
Yeah.
It's a really delicate balance because they're trying to deter North Korea from, further aggression.
Right.
But they also don't want to provoke, like, a full-on crisis.
Yeah, you nudge the scale and
Yeah,
suddenly,
The whole thing tips over.
Yeah, mushroom clouds. It's bad.
Not good, not good.
So, I mean, what does that even look like in practice? Are they just like tiptoeing around North Korea?
It's a little bit like that, right?
Yeah.
It's a two-pronged approach. So on the one hand, they're doing these very public displays of force. Like, you've got these joint military exercises between the U.S. and South Korea.
Right. Show of force.
It's a show of strength. Don't mess with us kind of thing.
Still here.
We're still here, exactly. But then, behind the scenes, there are these diplomatic channels
Right.
that are also at work trying to kind of quietly de-escalate things.
Okay.
So
it's like good cop, bad cop.
yeah.
But instead of cops, it's countries with nuclear weapons.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And it's important to remember here, though, that diplomacy with North Korea, notoriously difficult.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They have a very long history of...
I mean, I guess that makes sense,
Yeah.
given what we just talked about.
Like breaking agreements,
Yeah.
suddenly changing their minds. So
Flaky.
it makes it very challenging.
You can't pin them down.
You can't pin them down.
Yeah.
To have a reliable negotiation.
It's like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall.
Exactly. And it's almost like they're like playing chess.
Right.
While everyone else is playing checkers,
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't anticipate their next move.
Right.
Like, because they're playing a different game.
So, I mean, what are experts saying? Are we headed towards like a major conflict here, or is this just Kim Jong Un kind of playing chicken?
Well, so if you look at past behavior, right? Like historically, North Korea has tended to use these kinds of provocations to gain leverage.
Okay.
And they often do it to coincide with major events in the U.S.
Oh, interesting.
Like, for example, the upcoming election.
So they're trying to, like, game the system a little?
They're trying to game the system. And they're trying to exploit any kind of, potential weakness. Instability during a transition. Exactly.
Interesting.
So their thinking might be, okay, well, maybe a new administration in the U.S. will be more open to negotiation, more willing to make concessions in exchange for de-escalation.
Right.
Or maybe they're just trying to create chaos and uncertainty.
Right.
Hoping to benefit from, a distracted U.S.
A distracted, divided America.
Exactly. So it's a dangerous gamble. Right?
Yeah.
To use these kinds of international tensions as, like, a political pawn.
It's a big gamble, yeah.
It's a big gamble.
So they're betting on the U.S. basically imploding during the election?
They're betting on some level of disarray, right?
Right.
Which, let's be honest, is not...
Not
outside the realm of possibility.
Not a bad bet.
Not a bad bet, right.
Historically speaking.
Right.
I mean, it's not a bad bet.
So, is this just saber rattling? Or is it something more serious?
Right.
Hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
Most experts do agree, though, that a full-scale attack by North Korea is pretty unlikely.
Okay.
Given,
Because we'll retaliate?
Well, given the combined military might of the U.S. and South Korea.
Right.
It would be...
That would be a bad Tuesday for everybody involved.
Yeah, that would be a very bad Tuesday. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But, what about smaller provocations?
Oh, right.
Because those could still have major consequences.
Exactly. And that's what makes the situation so volatile.
Right.
Because even a minor miscalculation or misunderstanding could spiral out of control very quickly.
Yeah. Unintended consequences.
Unintended consequences, exactly.
It's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game, yeah.
So we're watching and waiting. What should we be paying attention to? Like, how do we know if this is going to calm down or if we should be worried?
Well, it's kind of like you got to read between the lines, right? Okay.
Pay attention to what they're saying, but also what they're doing. Like with their words. Look at the language coming out of North Korea. Are they making more threats? Or are they starting to, like, soften their tone a little bit?
So we're deciphering coded messages here.
Exactly.
Okay, so tone down the rhetoric.
Yep, and then watch what they do. Are they out there test firing missiles? Are they moving troops toward the border? Those are not good signs. But if they start to, like, pull back a bit, maybe even talk to South Korea again, that could mean they're cooling off.
So basically, look for any sign that they're turning the heat up or down. Is there anything we can learn from the past? Have they tried this kind of thing before?
Oh, totally. This is like classic North Korea. They've been doing this for decades. Stir things up, make demands.
Right. Get everyone riled up.
It's how they throw their weight around, even though, they're not exactly a superpower. Plus, it plays well at home. Kim Jong Un needs to look tough, to stay in charge.
Yeah. Got to keep that image.
Exactly.
Well, it's a scary situation. This isn't just some abstract political game. This is real life with real consequences. It really makes you think, even with everything going on in the world, something happening all the way over there can still impact all of us.
Absolutely. This isn't just about Korea. What happens there affects everything. Global security, trade, the balance of power in the whole region. And, we talked about this before, but this could even affect who wins the U.S. election next month.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. It's a lot, that's for sure. Any last thoughts?
Just this. It's easy to get caught up in the politics of it all. But remember, there are millions of people living in the middle of this. Their lives are on hold, and they don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that behind all the headlines and the threats, there are real people trying to live their lives. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for listening. We'll be keeping a close eye on this for you.